Hi, today I want to talk to you about discovering how to boost your sales productivity by up to 28%. Hi, my name's Adam Sykes and I'm the founder of SwiftCase, the professional productivity platform. And today I want to help you to develop a process where you can increase your sales revenue and have a happier team. So when you start as an entrepreneur, there's lots of decisions you've got to make. And some of these decisions will happen once, what color you're going to paint your office, and some of them will keep happening over and over again. So when to call a lead back, who to chase, what sort of people should you be targeting. All these sorts of things are decisions that get made again and again and again. And if you've got a team, they may keep asking you for the answer. They may want that direction, that leadership from you. And if you keep having to make decisions on the hop, you won't be necessarily making the best decisions. And also, you may have an inconsistent approach to how you run your business. So the first step that you need to do is work out how your sales process should work. And actually, the key is a process. Sales is a process. You take someone from being someone who isn't aware of your business through to being a prospect, to being a qualified lead, to being someone who might actually want to be able to and also is able to purchase your product or service, to someone who's a happy client and you go on to delight them and improve their relationship, their life, their business, whatever it is, whatever the service is that you provide. You take them on that journey from someone who doesn't know about your company to someone who loves your product or service. And this is a process, and this process can be documented, this process can be repeated, and it can be automated. So that's the first step, is know your sales process. So is this just me telling you this? No, there is evidence that backs this up. So people who have a formal sales process actually increase their revenue by about 13%. People who then actually spend 3 hours a month just working on their pipeline actually can increase their revenue by 11%. And people who have trained staff members who are working in their sales team, who know a process, who are trained in a way to actually provide the service to get those sales in, increases your sales revenue by 9%. Now, when these three factors are used together, that's where we get our 28% boost. So make sure you have a formal process that increases your revenue. Make sure that you spend time on working on your sales pipeline, on working on your process, on actually using the process that you've got in place and sticking to it. And third, train your staff so that they are the best that they can be at doing their job. Now, another benefit of having a sales process is actually increased closing. So by having a formal process, 33% more sales were closed than people who didn't have a formal process. That's a massive increase. If you think of that in terms of revenue in your own business, that is huge. Now, how can you take advantage of that today? You can get your process written down and train your staff. It's that easy. Just get out and do it. So how do you start with mapping your process? Well, it's as easy or as difficult as you want it to be. The easiest way you can do it is to just literally get a pen and paper, draw a flow chart, just a little diagram, little arrows between boxes of the steps that you need to take in your business to get from a prospect, from a lead, from someone who isn't even aware of your company, all the way through to someone who is now a client who's delighted with your service. So step one, how to identify a client. Step two, sending them some information. Maybe it's a case study, maybe it's an ebook. Step three, taking them through the drip campaign of emails. Maybe step four, arranging a webinar, a demo. Step five, maybe following up with a sales call, an in-person meeting, through to step six, might be actually delivering the proposal to them and actually closing the deal. And then after that, we move on to customer success and people who making sure that your customers stick with you and they don't churn. So just by simply drawing a diagram, there are other ways. There's technical ways, there's business process management, there's very specific ways and very strict methods, and you can go on courses, but just a simple flow chart, that's all you need to begin with. And you can work that up into a document, you can work that up into a refined process, or you can even put it into a system like the one we produce. So SwiftCase, you can create a workflow, you can create multiple workflows for different types of jobs, and you can track the progress of people on those workflows and also include training information, which will help to improve your sales revenue. So remember, by training your staff in your process, you can increase your sales revenue by an extra 9%. So an added benefit of being able to actually see your process as a workflow and actually be able to visualize how you actually run your business and how you take your customers from not being aware to being delighted with your service. And that's what this is all about. It's delighting your customers, it's getting your customers in and providing a consistent service. Once you can actually see, you can actually visualize how your business operates, and then you can start to make improvements. You can say, well, wait a second, that bit doesn't really add value. Or you can analyze when people drop off. They're getting to step 4, but they're not going any further. What's going wrong in step 4? Now, if you're just making ad hoc decisions, someone asks you, when should I call them back? Oh, do it next Tuesday, or do it in a week. You're not going to have that detail. You're not going to say, well, X number of customers drop off at stage 3 and X number of customers drop off when they speak to this salesperson. This information comes from having a confined, refined process. So another benefit of actually refining your process is you can produce your sales documents, your proposals, your ebooks. You can produce them and have them ready to go. You know where they need to go at each stage. You can have templates designed that people can simply pop in the customer's data, or even they can automatically come out of a system that you've got set up. Like the one we produce, it can just produce all the documents that need to go out when they need to go out. And this allows you to help to automate your sales process and to actually improve the way that you communicate with your customers without necessarily tying up your sales team. So one of the problems we come up against when we're talking about processes is people get stuck in their own ways. They may have their own method of doing things, and that might be different for each of your members of your sales team. And to get them to work into a single process that gets refined over time can often be difficult. And one of the good ways of getting people to come along with the journey is to involve them. If you have a continuous improvement approach, if you have a continuous improvement methodology where anyone can make suggestions and that you can try them out, then people will feel as if they're engaged in the process, they'll feel that they're being listened to, and if it works, great. And if it doesn't, you've got the evidence to say why you're not doing it like that anymore and why person A's method has actually improved the company. We've tried your method, but unfortunately, as you can see, it didn't work. And hopefully with that evidence, it helps to allay people's fears that they're not being listened to, that they've always done it one way and we're suddenly changing it. You can say, well, this is why, and you can give them that backing, you can give them that reassurance that we did listen, but it didn't work. And at the same time, you've got the people where it does work, and you can celebrate their success, you can involve them in their company, and you can improve your processes by taking on more ideas. So as we've seen in other videos, a key part of being a successful entrepreneur is making sure that the right person is doing the right job. So if you've got your process formally mapped out, if you've got a system in place that helps your sales team go from their prospect through to a happy client, well, you can start to see places where maybe your best salesperson is not suited to dealing with sending out the ebook or dealing with sending out the various proposal documents and formatting them up. That actually, is there someone else who could do that part of the process? Can you free up people from the more monotonous and straightforward tasks to focus on their key skills, to focus on where they really excel? You start being able to see places where you can delegate work, where you can cut work, and where you can make your process more efficient. So always consider what you can cut. You don't need to do everything just because you've done it before, just because you've always done it that way. So think objectively about what can be cut. If something isn't adding value, then take it out. Focus on the things that do work. And if things can be delegated, make sure they're delegated down to the person who can do the task without wasting their time on things that they could be doing other things. Make sure the person doing the task is the right person for the job. So make sure that you've got a process, make sure that you refine that process, make sure that you involve your team in continually improving that process. And that means cutting things, delegating tasks. You will improve your sales process, you will boost your sales revenue. If you train your team, if you have the process, and you spend the time every month on working on that process, you will boost your sales revenue by 28%. Your customers be happy, you'll be happy, your team will be happy. So if you've boosted your sales revenue, drop a comment below, let us know how you've done, and don't forget to subscribe to see more videos like this in the future. My name's Adam Sykes, founder of SwiftCase, the professional productivity platform. Thanks for watching and see you again next time.